I'd like to bring up a former bus driver, member of ATU, professor, working class intellectual, and another very kind man, and a union organizer and teacher, and a mentor to me as well, Professor Scott Molloy.
Yeah. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I just came from a union ceremony at Majestic Cemetery in Central Falls, where we paid our honor to 4 textile workers shot down in cold blood on a strike in 1934. 1934. We don't forgive and we don't forget our heroes and heroines. A lot of people don't realize, because the hate is so intense today, that it's been around for a long time. And in fact, it was often aimed at very different people than today. Back in the 1840s and 50s, when the Irish Catholics came to Rhode Island, they were singled out because of their ethnicity and their religion. And the precursors to the hate groups today got going. The Know Nothing Party, the American Party, the Law and Order Party. That sound familiar? It should. They're all the same even to this day. And in the early 1840s, a Cranston industrialist named Amasa Sprague was shot dead. And an Irish immigrant named John Gordon was brought to trial. And when he faced the jury, the judge told the jurors to give greater weight to the testimony of Yankee native-born Americans than to any immigrants who were born in Ireland. Talk about justice and hate. John Gordon was murdered, he was hanged, but he would be the last person executed by the state of Rhode Island because those early relatives of ours stuck together. Although the Ku Klux Klan is usually thought of around the Civil War, and that's their first big appearance, really their greatest incarnation was in the 1920s, not down south, but in the Midwest, the East, and right here in New England and Rhode Island. And they went after the usual suspects, people of color, Jews, but they also went after everyone who was Catholic, which in Rhode Island was just about everybody. They went after the Irish, they went after the Italians, the Polish, the Portuguese, the French Canadians, and the list goes on and on. They were our grandparents and our great-grandparents, and they had to face the same hate as people do today from other countries. The Klan controlled 7 states in the 1920s. They had more members than the American Federation of Labor. And in the Rhode Island National Guard, they were able to infiltrate it and control it until they were finally tossed out. Interestingly, at the UER, the United Electric Railways, the streetcar company, the Italian and Irish motormen and conductors, who really didn't have a lot in common except their religion, came together when they had a common enemy, the Ku Klux Klan. So something good came out of it. But we have to remember, in summing this up, somebody asked me to give this talk and give a history of it all in 5 minutes. Hello! I do this in 14 weeks. The forces of reaction are always weak as long as we remain strong. The forces of reaction are debilitated as long as we stay strong. Right. But in today's world, with the election of Donald Trump, the rats, the roaches have come out of their dark holes and their sewers into the broad daylight because their strength comes from our temporary weakness right now. Their strength comes from our temporary weakness. But today we regroup here nationally and internationally, and the rodents and the vermin scurry back home to the recesses in the cesspool where they live, and we're going to bait the traps waiting for them. In conclusion, let me say, there's always been hate mongers, but we're ever ready. Today we're ever ready to light up solidarity, humanity, and social justice. We're going to create a curtain of unity, and we'll stop the vermin in their tracks. Thank you.